What if one of the most surprising calming sounds in nature wasn't ocean waves, rain, or forest wind, but the low, steady buzz of bees? A new preliminary study explored whether spending time in an apihouse, or simply listening to recorded bee sounds, could reduce anxiety levels in humans. And the results were intriguing. When most people think of bees, they think of honey, pollination, or maybe even stings. But in some parts of the world, bees are also part of a wellness experience called an apihouse, a specially designed wooden space where people can relax near active beehives without direct contact. According to the paper, API houses are designed so people can experience bee-related sensory cues, especially buzzing sounds, hive air, and subtle micro-vibrations, while staying safely separated from the bees themselves. The idea has gained attention in apitourism and alternative wellness circles, but scientific evidence has been limited. This 2025 preliminary study tested that idea with 60 adults, ages 18 to 65. Participants were randomly divided into two groups. One group experienced a real apihouse with live bees nearby. The other group listened to recorded bee buzzing sounds while seated on similar hive structures, but without live bees present. Anxiety levels were measured before and after the experience using the State Trait Anxiety Inventory, a standard anxiety assessment tool. Each participant spent 10 minutes in their assigned condition. The researchers were especially interested in whether the calming effect came from the full apihouse environment or whether the sound of bees alone might already be enough to make a difference. The bee sounds recorded inside the apihouse had dominant peak frequencies ranging from about 237 to 416 Hz, with an average around 274 Hz. The authors note that this matched patterns associated with normal, non-aggressive bee activity. In other words, this was not the sound of a disturbed hive. It was the sound of ordinary bee life. Here's the key finding. Both groups showed statistically significant reductions in anxiety after the session. That means the real apihouse experience reduced anxiety scores, but so did listening to the bee buzzing sounds alone. The paper reports significant improvements in both state anxiety, how anxious someone feels in the moment, and trait anxiety, which reflects a person's more general tendency toward anxiety. Interestingly, the researchers did not find a significant difference between the real apihouse group and the sound-only group in the amount of anxiety reduction. That suggests the buzzing sound itself may be one of the major contributors to the calming effect, even though the full apihouse experience may offer a richer, more immersive sensory environment. But this is where caution matters. The authors described the study as preliminary. It had a relatively small sample size, the exposure lasted only 10 minutes, and it was conducted in a real-world environment rather than a tightly controlled lab. The researchers also say they still can't tell exactly which part of the apihouse experience matters most: sound, scent, vibration, expectation, or some combination of all of them. So what does this really mean? Not that bee sounds are a proven treatment for anxiety, but it does suggest something worth taking seriously. Natural, bee-generated sensory environments may have measurable calming effects, and even the sound alone may play a role. For people interested in apitherapy, eco-psychology, or evidence-aware natural wellness, this opens an intriguing direction for future research. Bee products have long been part of traditional wellness culture, but what makes this study interesting is that it moves the conversation one step closer to measurement. A calmer nervous system after just 10 minutes of bee-related sound exposure is not proof of a medical therapy, but it is a fascinating signal. And sometimes science begins exactly there, with a signal worth investigating more carefully.